Blessings again. I'm back on this magnificent Sabbath day. The Most High God, He didn't have to create us. You got to remember that. You know, He didn't have to do it, but He did. So we can at least give acknowledgement to, following the law, statutes, and commands of His. No better day than to do it than the Sabbath, if you haven't been doing it already. Sabbath is Saturday. This is also the day in which we are supposed to have worship service, not Sunday, which give credence to the sun gods, the pagan deities. No. It is Saturday. A day that the world calls Saturday, which, hey, this is the seventh day of the week, the Sabbath day. First day of the week begins on the day the world acknowledges as Sunday. A day that is not the day of rest, but the first day of the week. So, now that we've explored that, see, it's about getting back to the original order of things. This is why the world is in such disarray and chaos right now as we speak. Complete and utter chaos. Due to the fact that everything is being done outside of the natural order. We've got men marrying men, women marrying women, which homosexuality is forbidden. That's directly attached to a demonic spirit as well. So we need to remember that also. It is directly attached to a demonic spirit. So when people be coming out the closet talking about some, oh, I was born in the wrong body and that's a demon feeding these thoughts to them. That is a demon inhabiting their vessel. That is a demon got them thinking in such a fraudulent, fictionalized manner. So, we got to get back to the natural order of things. Man and woman. Men are the head of the house. Then the woman is the helpmate. So, all these ideas that's then come to the forefront throughout the years, it's like all these things were implemented to cause chaos, to cause disruption, to disrupt the natural order of things. Not the natural order that we feel like should be. Well then, please explain, since obviously I have it so wrong. How about you explain that for us? We take wubs. No, what's weird is you're sitting here watching me. You don't see me watching you, pal. You watching me on my station. See how the devil works, people? And people who are attached to these demonic spirits, they always got something negative to say. And then these people be pretending like they're highly educated, probably don't even contain a GED. The type of people who parents was filling on them, during the age of adolescence, so it screwed their brains up. So we got to watch people like this. We take wubs. So, based off his name, he's probably some wannabe hood legend. He gives credence to the hood ideologies of the world. He is a perfect contestant for the Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty drama. People like this. But he'll come onto my station and try to give the mere appearance that I'm weird or that what I'm saying is incorrect. But yet, he has yet to incorporate his ideological views thereof. But see, and that's how people just be talking. They just love negativity. They get off on being negative. You know, it's all about negativity with them. So basically, he was saying I'm wrong about the homosexual stuff. So he's probably a homosexual, whoever it is, you know. See, those demons get disturbed when you start discussing things, hitting those key points. The demons get quite perturbed. That's why they always got to extenuate drama and negativity on a station that's trying to give all the acknowledgement to Christ. Like, how you gonna come onto somebody's station talking trash? Like you're about that action, you know. And this is what I was just talking about. People being negative in these end times. You know, these are demonic spirits, disturbed, angered, because you're sitting up here extenuating the necessary knowledge to bring us back into the truth. They hate that. They cannot stand that. That's why they got to sit there. We take wubs, this guy, whoever it is, tranny, whatever you know, take your pick, because they got mighty irritated once I started touching on that subject matter. How can we sit here and criticize those who put themselves out there to be criticized, first and foremost? And then secondly, how can we criticize individuals when we ourselves haven't done the necessary research en route to formulating an opinion on the topic matter at hand? Like, how can we do that? You know, you can always quickly assess if an individual has done any research or not, because it just abruptly come onto somebody's station, watching them, you know, and then your engagement in the dialogue is something negative off the bat, instead of looking and studying. And this is what I'm saying. They keep us so reduced down to mere idiots, to where when the truth is uttered, we look at people like they're crazy. We want to place some psychological label on them due to our negligence of researching these things en route to gaining a clear understanding. You know, everyone just doesn't be hopping online, just running their gullet, perpetrating like they think they know something. I'm not into that. When I come on here, it's to extenuate knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know, because especially with our youth, they really got them out here thinking they're something that they're not, and they're headed to their demise. You know, they got them thinking along the lines of this street code of ethics, and then it's like they're so wrapped up into the numbskullery of it all, they can't even see that they've been deceived. They can't even see that they don't even know nowhere near as half as much as what they think they do. They think because they've come across some would-be level of street knowledge, which is pretty much all an absurd piece of fiction once you break it down element by element. You know, they always trying to sit up here and present themselves and you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, they always glorify gangsterism. There's nothing gangster at all about being negative towards your own people or people in general. There's nothing gangster about that. What's gangster is to be able to diffuse the situation before it comes fully into fruition. That's the true definition of being a gangster. Gangster is given honor and glory and worship to the Most High God in heaven, and Christ. That's real gangster stuff. Not sitting up here killing off your own people for the real enemy at hand. And I'm not talking about no black and white either. I'm talking about those who represent the kingdom of hell and those who represent the kingdom of heaven. And in this ongoing war, that supersedes and takes precedence over anything else going on down here on this earth. Because that's what it's all about. Broken down into so many different subject matters at hand. Deception layered in deception. Like, come on now. But we gonna hop on somebody's station, and that bothers me about the era we're in now, because we got idiots like this. We take wubs, you know. It's idiots like that who say things like that and don't have the slightest inclination of how this world truly works and operates. They don't have the slightest inclination. They view everything through the scope of the street code of ethics, which are completely fraudulent in nature anyway. None of them live up to it, really. And then it's like they allow themselves to be used like a skeet rag in the slang and the destruction of our people. And then they act like that's gangster, to sit here and aid in the killing off of your own kind. There ain't nothing gangster about that. It makes you a mark. If we're gonna be talking that lingo, it makes you a complete mark in that regard. And for what? You know what I mean? So it's just completely irritating when people like that, they always want to spew negativity. They don't never want to learn nothing significant. You know, they want to sit here and be like everybody else. They don't know how to differentiate themselves and to, you know, be an artist in every utterance of the word. We all have traits that we're good at. We all have various attributes where we excel in. Now it's the time to be honing these attributes. The Most High God is an artist. So it's only fitting that we display our artistic, you know, capabilities and whatnot. And all give the praises, honor, and glory to the one who created us. You know, not sitting up here being negative for what? So we're gonna sit up and me, I can be negative without even uttering a cuss word. I can do it like that, and it's gonna make you feel real small at the end of the day. But what does that do? Where does that get us? It gets us back to square numero uno. For real. And all that does is harm and damages us as a people. But see, it's just so many individuals walking around, and they Israelites and don't even know it. They still portraying themselves to be African American, you know. They don't even care to look to see where they really come from or what all this is truly about. They are completely comfortable in being ignorant, just willfully ignorant. They are completely comfortable with that. But then when I get on somebody else's station and call somebody a weirdo, but you watching me, you know, because I bet you if I click onto this guy's thing, he probably got 1 or 2 subscribers and ain't got no videos on his thing. Or if he do got any videos, it's a bunch of rap videos that he been watching. Or something sexualizing our women in the most grotesque, lewd manner. You know? And we need to start being more sacred about that too, who we're sitting up here laying down with. And that goes for the men too. It ain't just the women, you know, men need to be more classy as well. Sitting up here trying to sausage down anything you can stick your little meat action into. Like that is just completely absurd. These organs was not made so you can just be in a constant and continual level of happy hour in your pubic region. No, it's not about that. You know, life is created from our seed. So we don't need to be out here laying down with every Tom, Dick, and Mariette. We don't need to be doing that. Save your sperm. You need that, men. Women, stop allowing yourselves to be just spread eagle every time you turn around, just to be a seed box, a skeet box. Like, come on, man, these practices are against the Most High God in Christ. We got to get back to the natural order of things. Like that is what the entirety of my current message is about. Getting back to the natural order. Stop sitting up here lusting. Stop sitting up here trying to have sex with everybody. You're passing different spirits and back and forth. You never know how many spirits, demonic entities are residing in an individual. And especially when you go and sit and you trying to go have relations with them, like all you doing is passing spirits back and forth. Having unprotected sex. And then we're not even really supposed to be wearing prophylactics anyway. That's why it's such a sacred thing, and it's imperative that we're not sitting up here sleeping with multiple individuals under the guise of, oh yeah, I'm the man because I done had sex with a lot of different people. That is an insane, absurd way of thinking. And it is just a complete absurd approach to life. But these are the behaviors and these are the actions that they reduce us down to. They being the orchestrators behind the scenes of all these different operations. Because they're operations at the end of the day. They're covert operations. You know, things are always way deeper than what the surface structure presents. You got to remember that. It is always way deeper. You know, these people be using some pretty elegant levels of deception to reel us in, to force us to destroy ourselves. Like that is the ultimate level of combat, where you can get the opposition to destroy themselves. And we got to stop falling into those traps and snares of the enemy. Why are we falling into these traps? Because we got that disconnect from Christ. Reconnect to the Christ source and approach life with him at the forefront in all of your daily journeys. And you will be navigated through this thing in due fashion. I assure you that. How you doing? Blessings. Because when you got Christ on your side, it doesn't matter what the enemy presents. It doesn't matter what the enemy throws at you. You're going to be okay. And it doesn't matter how they try to hide themselves in their little vehicles, acting like they're a place of business that doesn't even exist. Christ will reveal all things to you. You know? Like I said, the things I talk about, I get followed around daily, all the time, by people who think they're a bunch of slick meisters, a bunch of slick Willy wannabes, and they're not. They're completely terrible in the overall grand scheme of covert operations, but yet they try to present themselves in a manner on the level of a Ethan Hawke or somebody, you know, the guy from Mission Impossible. So, you know, once you start living for Christ, you're going to have a whole different set of circumstances thrown your way. And there's going to be a bunch of underhanded situations occurring. There's going to be family, friends, and would-be loved ones want to see your demise, all while playing in your face, acting like they on your side. And then they'll agree with you on all fronts until it gets to a point of uncomfortability to them, depending upon the subject matter. And then they'll hand you over to the slaughter in Judas fashion. That's a fact. And that's where we're at in our current day and age. That's why it's like, you know, anybody come on my platform talking crazy, you out of pocket off the gate. Because I'm up here talking about positivity, I'm talking about Christ, and revealing some of the secrets of this world, some of the secrets that they try to keep contained. That way we'll have some type of a roadmap to follow to help us with our own personalized walk. But then you got idiotic, imbecilic numbskulls want to come on here talking crazy, talking about weirdo, and they think by uttering such terms, like that gives them some level of validation, solidification, substantiation. No, it doesn't give you any of that. It makes you look like a chump. One who's being utilized like a skeet rag by the powers that don't be to carry out their bidding. While they keep their hands clean and you get yours dirty, all in the name of what this is all truly about. So we got to stop being so mean and nasty towards one another. Why are we doing the enemy's job for them? Why is it so hard for us to come back to the natural order of things? Man, woman, you know, and you know, and we'll get deeper into that later on down the line, because, you know, division starts in the household. Once you stop eating together, everybody going to their separate dwelling quarters in the home to eat instead of eating together. Like I said, separation and division begins in the home. So we got to stop. We got to knock that out. Pray over our food. Pray together. Fellowship together. Be there for one another on a real level. You know, because you know, these division, you know, because like I said, division begins in the home. If you're divided in the home, how you going to be unified with the people once you leave the home? You see what I'm saying? When you got the attributes of a divided individual. So it's time, man. Time is sped up, regardless if anyone wants to acknowledge that or not. But time in the manner in which man views it anyway is completely fraudulent in nature anyway. But the Most High God, he sped up the time because of the things that are occurring. Because if he doesn't do that, he already said there's nothing that the forces of darkness will not be able to achieve. You got to remember, Satan took a third of the fallen angels with him when they fell from the heavens, once they were booted out of heaven. They got that rear end demolished and they got evicted from heaven. So they brought all the knowledge that they, you know, with them from the heavens. This is how they've created Nephilim and all these other would-be clever inventions that they've come with. You know, they can go through portals. They've got directed energy weapons, or, you know, laser beam weapons. The same technology that started those Hawaii fires. So, you know, they done brought some heat with them. But you stand on your faith of Christ, all that will pale in comparison to the power contained within Christ. And that's just the truth. Anybody who think they're going to be able to get through these times to come without Christ at the forefront, you can stock up all the bunkers in which you attempt to stock up. And it'll be nothing more than a fraudulent level of protection. What they call that? Okay, I'm having a brain fart at the moment. I can't even think of what that's called. But yeah, they have a fraudulent level of protection. Because you're not going to be able to do it without Christ. It's just not going to happen. So all these people worrying about street codes of ethics right now, and Gucci Man and Pooh Shiesty and all these news outlets pumping this story need to be thinking about what are they trying to divert our attention away from. Because every time they pump a story like this, which is just negative on all fronts, and it just once again just places a stain on us, there's something brewing. There's something going on that they don't want us privy to. So we better start unearthing this information. It's getting ready to get real out here. Are y'all gonna be ready? Or are y'all gonna continue living a life of sin and a fraudulent level of street ethics? Or are we gonna sit all that idiotic stuff to the side and live for Christ on a real level? Stop being hateful and mean and negative towards people. That ain't gonna get you anywhere at the end of the day. It's gonna earn you it's gonna earn your rear end a hot seat. That's it. Them spirit butt cheeks gonna be sizzling hot. We don't want to experience that. Keep that in mind. That said, y'all have a magnificent day. Shalom.